Detroit Pistons scared the living hell out of me. I think they're the best team in the East. And most importantly, Eminem, you know this better than any of us. They don't just want to win, they want the Knicks. And then when I saw the Knicks go into Detroit, a game I was supposed to be at, by the way, that night, and I had a last-minute commitment that I had to honor, the Knicks got annihilated by 30. Because to me, the Pistons are the team to beat in the East right now.
A.Smith says the Detroit Pistons scared the living hell out of him. Obviously they're in New York. And there's talks that the New York Knicks are back after a 6-game winning streak. They haven't lost since January 19th versus the Brooklyn Nets. Versus the Dallas Mavericks. They've beaten the Nets, the 76ers, the Kings, the Trailblazers, the Lakers, the Raptors. I believe those are the teams that they beat. So let me see: Nets, Trailblazers, Kings, Raptors, Lakers. I think maybe the Nets I'm missing in there, but I like what the Trailblazers doing though, as far as their roster. I think Trailblazers is probably a few veterans away from being a playoff team and out there. I remember I did a video and they was comparing the roster to our roster. I'm like, it's nowhere close, but got a lot of good players out there. I know a lot of people still like, oh, we should have took Shaden Sharp. I think over Jaden Ivey or something like that. But Shaden Sharp out there doing his thing. But he been on and off the floor with injuries too. So, but I like what Portland doing, honestly. I like what they doing out there. I think if Chauncey didn't get in his situation, I think Portland would probably make the playoffs this year. But yeah, I figured the Nets be up and down. I think people was kind of overblowing the situation with the Thunder. Some overblown about the Thunder. They losing streak. I don't really read into it. I know a lot of veteran teams, especially if you win a championship, you could feel like you could turn it on, turn it off. Knicks got a lot of veterans. They're gonna probably feel like they could turn it on or turn it off. So yeah, I really want concern. If you're really playing bad basketball, kind of, mid-March, March going into April, then you having to skid at that time, I'm worried. So really, you really want to start to really play your best basketball and get healthy mid-March, going to, around March going into April. That's the end of the season. So he said the Pistons scared the hell out of him. The bond that they got, and they young and fresh. They got a lot of players that don't have a lot of games, under their belt. And people look at that as lack of experience. But when you go 10, 12 deep in the playoffs, they're going to shorten that bench. Might be 8, might be, I'll probably not say 8. But when you got a bunch of guys that don't have a lot of mileage on their body, and we in the load management era, I just found out that they doing load management in college basketball. But when you're in the load management era, where guys are constantly getting hurt because they stopping and starting. They got a lot of guys. Javonte Green ain't got a bunch of minutes on him. Dennis Jenkins ain't got a bunch of minutes on him. Stu is still fairly young, experienced. So they got a lot of Sar Thompson, Ron Hollins. He got a lot of guys. Even when you look at Cade Cunningham kind of missing his first couple seasons, he ain't got a lot of mileage on his body for, how long he been in the league. So Pistons fresh. They keep each other fresh by going 10, 12 deep. Jalen Duren, shout out to him, first time All-Star, ain't got a lot of mileage on his body. So, yeah, man. And then you see him in the playoff series and you miss a couple key guys and felt like, that easily could have been 4-2 Detroit way, even without those key guys. So, obviously, we don't got Schroeder. I think Schroeder got traded somewhere again. But, yeah, it's a physical basketball team, a young team who don't have the abuse of, Jalen Brunson, who always beat up, don't have, kind of cat wishy-washy. Like I said, I think OG Anunoby make a great Detroit Piston. But other than that, it's just a different type of vibe over there. It's a team effort. It's not one man dominating the ball. The ball move. They trust each other, whether it's Duncan Robinson or Wu in there. They trust them, whether it's Tobias Harris in there, they trust each other. And for the Knicks, it's kind of like, they still trying to find what Mike Brown wants. And offensively, it's too ball dominant on Jalen Brunson. Too ball dominant. He really ain't really figured out how to really, he's a 2-card playing the 1. And that's the difference between him and Cade. Cade make people better. You know, Brunson just say, I'm gonna just do the shit myself. Brunson, Luka, you know, those type of dudes, you know, it's gonna be hard for them to win basketball games, you know, win championships until they learn to distribute, you know, and not distribute when I feel like it, distribute based on what the team needs. That's how you distribute the basketball. You know, when they need you to really pick it up and score, you need to pick it up and score. When they need you to really get everybody involved, and by the time teams start trapping, they take all these tough shots and teams start trapping them, or they start missing buckets and they want their team to pick it up. Guess what? Nobody got a rhythm. You know, nobody got a rhythm. Everybody can't be Jamal Murray or Chauncey Billups or Vinnie Johnson or Ginobili. Everybody can, or Lou Williams or Jamal Crawford. Everybody just can't, you know, just spark up a 40 ball or spark up 20 points just like that. Everybody ain't that type of scorer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why some of them guys for 6 men in a year, you know, you see it with Steve Nash. Really, if Steve Nash wanted to average a 50 piece, bro, Steve Nash could average a 50 piece, but he understood the importance of facilitation and getting everybody involved, then getting mine. Now, if it say, hey, I need to get mine tonight, you know what I'm saying? Y'all get the fuck out of my way. A lot of those players will do that. So it's what's needed on a night by night basis, quarter by quarter basis. It's what's needed. And I just think Jalen Brunson is just, he ain't figured that part of the game out. You know, lucky enough for K, he's pretty much figured that out naturally. LeBron's already almost, you know, he figured that out just like K. This is natural, but for LeBron, the problem was being selfish. You know, just really taking over. You know what I'm saying? That was his only weakness, is the aggression. For Michael, it was learning what Luka and Jalen Brunson and Russell Westbrook, you know, ain't learned, is how, you know, how to trust, you know, how to get yours when you need to get yours. Once Michael figured that out, how to really score in critical moments and really contribute you know, to making everybody better, knowing that the defense is going to be looking at you and how to manipulate the defense without scoring or sometimes touching the ball, you know, that's the only issue. You know, for K, it's just to win it now, and you know, practice on shooting, but just to, you know, win it. But yeah, of course, you know, of course you gonna look at your biggest rivals, you know, as your, you know, the top dogs is the top competition. You know, when Tatum come back, would I bring Tatum back this year? Probably not. I probably wouldn't bring him back this year. You know, I was listening to Hellenberg, he was saying that he thought he was back and he tried to guard, I think, Benedict Mathurin in practice. He said he sat his ass down. He wasn't ready. So, you know, take time. But yeah, of course they should be. Of course, you know, the number one team. I mean, they season. You know, the Pistons got some season on them on the playoffs last year, where Toronto don't got that season. Where Boston is a little hurt. Indiana having a down year. So, you know, whoever else up in there, you know, of course. So they looked at it last year. We just got to get past Indiana. You know, Cleveland kind of in there. There's rumors that, you know, people monitor Devon Mitchell. You know, people was looking at, you know, they was looking at, oh, it's just us in Indiana. And, you know, Indiana was the door stopper last year. You know, Halliburton is one of those players that's like Cade and Bron. You know, he's going to facilitate, but also he can nut up and give 30, 40 points. So hit the link in the description, join the Patreon. Join the link, hit the link tree, find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, everything in there, man. Appreciate y'all. Check out Detroit Pistons Talk playlist. Peace.